When talkies entered Hollywood, many silent film actors struggled to adjust. Many disappeared immediately while many struggled their way hard to make their way up. But this change took the lives of many silent film actors tragically. Some died poor, while some went into debt. Here are the 18 silent film actors who had very tragic deaths. Virginia Rappe. Virginia Rappe was an actress and model who found herself at the center of one of Hollywood's earliest and most sensational scandals. Born in 1895, she began her career in Chicago as a model before moving to Los Angeles to pursue acting. Known for her beauty and ambition, Rappe appeared in several films and quickly gained attention. While her career was still in its early stages, she was well regarded in the industry and seemed destined for success. In September 1921, during a weekend celebration at the St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco, Virginia attended a party hosted by comedian Roscoe Arbuckle, one of Hollywood's highest-paid stars at the time. The details of what transpired during that party remain controversial and unclear, but Rappe fell seriously ill during the event. She was found in considerable pain, and her condition worsened over the next few days. Doctors determined she had suffered a ruptured bladder, which led to peritonitis. Tragically, Rappe died on September 9, 1921, at just 26 years old. Her death alone was heartbreaking, but it was what followed that shocked the nation. Rappe's companion alleged that Arbuckle had assaulted her, causing her fatal injuries. Arbuckle was arrested and charged with manslaughter, sparking a media frenzy. His trials became some of the most publicized in history, filled with sensationalized stories and widespread speculation. The public quickly turned on Arbuckle, who was tried 3 times. While he was ultimately acquitted, the damage to his reputation and career was irreversible. Hollywood studios, fearing backlash, blacklisted him, effectively ending his career. The scandal cast a long shadow over everyone involved. Rappe's death became a tragic symbol of Hollywood excess and the darker side of fame, and it left an indelible mark on the industry. Despite Arbuckle's acquittal, the public's perception remained divided, and Rappe's life and death became the subject of lasting mystery and intrigue, a story forever linked to Hollywood's early scandals. Wallace Reed. Wallace Reed was one of Hollywood's earliest matinee idols, often called the screen's most perfect lover for his good looks, charisma, and charm. Born in 1891, Reed started in the industry as a writer and director, but soon found himself in front of the camera, where his natural charm captivated audiences. Throughout the 1910s and early 1920s, Reed became a household name, starring in films like The Roaring Road and The Affairs of Anatole, where he often played dashing, adventurous characters. His popularity soared, and he quickly became one of Hollywood's first major heartthrobs. However, Reed's life took a tragic turn following an injury on set. During the filming of a high-stakes action scene, he was involved in an accident that left him with severe pain. To keep him working and manage the intense pain, studio doctors prescribed morphine, a common but highly addictive painkiller at the time. Reed, under pressure to maintain his busy film schedule, became dependent on drugs, and his health began to deteriorate as his addiction took hold. Despite his worsening condition, the studio continued to demand performances from Reed, prioritizing box office success over his well-being. He continued to work, often enduring grueling hours and painful withdrawals. His family and close friends noticed his decline, and eventually his addiction became impossible to hide. In 1922, his family and colleagues convinced him to seek help, and he was admitted to a sanitarium for rehabilitation. But by then, the addiction had ravaged his health, and his body was too weakened to recover fully. On January 18, 1923, Wallace Reed passed away at the young age of 31, succumbing to the effects of prolonged addiction and health complications. Martha Mansfield. Martha Mansfield was a promising actress in the silent film era, admired for her beauty and talent. Born in 1899, she quickly made a name for herself in Hollywood, with a career that seemed only to be on the rise. By 1924, she had already starred alongside big names, proving her potential as one of cinema's next big stars. At just 24 years old, Mansfield was in San Antonio, Texas, on the set of the Civil War drama The Warrens of Virginia, a film that many believed would further her stardom. Tragically, during a break in filming, Martha was sitting in her car in full costume, a flowing, flammable period gown, when disaster struck. Somehow her dress caught fire, possibly from a match or a lit cigarette, though the exact cause remains a mystery. The flames spread quickly, consuming the highly combustible fabric of her costume. Her co-star, Wilfred Lytle, and others nearby rushed to help, throwing heavy coats over her to smother the flames. Despite their quick action, Martha had already suffered severe burns. She was rushed to the hospital where doctors worked tirelessly to save her. However, the burns were too extensive, and her body had endured too much trauma. Martha Mansfield succumbed to her injuries on November 30th, 1924, just one day after the incident. Her death left her fans in the film industry heartbroken, as she had shown so much promise. Mansfield's tragic end cast a somber shadow over Hollywood, serving as a haunting reminder of the risks and fragility of life on and off the set. Lucille Rickon. Lucille Rickon was one of Hollywood's earliest child stars, captivating audiences with her mature performances and magnetic screen presence. Born in 1910, she began acting at an incredibly young age, quickly rising to fame during the silent film era. By her early teens, Lucille had already starred in numerous films, often playing roles that demanded emotional depth far beyond her years. She was praised for her talent and professionalism, but behind glamour, the pressures of stardom took a toll on her young body and spirit. Lucille's demanding schedule and the pressures of sustaining a career in Hollywood were intense. She was constantly on set, working long hours and carrying roles often suited for much older actresses. Sadly, her workload left her physically and emotionally drained, weakening her already fragile health. By 1924, Lucille's health began to deteriorate rapidly. She developed symptoms of tuberculosis, a disease that was difficult to treat and often deadly at the time. Her mother, who was her closest companion and support system, was devastated but unable to halt her daughter's relentless workload. In 1925, Lucille's illness worsened, and she eventually became bedridden. Despite the care of her family and friends, she succumbed to tuberculosis on March 13, 1925, at the heartbreaking age of just 14. Her death left Hollywood in shock and sorrow, as she had been one of the brightest young stars of her time. Lucille Rickon's life and tragic death remain a haunting reminder of the relentless demands and hardships faced by young stars in the silent film era, highlighting the fragility of childhood amid the pursuit of fame. Rudolph Valentino. Rudolph Valentino was the ultimate Hollywood heartthrob of the silent film era, famously known as the Latin lover. Born in Italy in 1895, he immigrated to the United States and eventually found his way to Hollywood, where his exotic looks and intense on-screen presence made him an instant star. Valentino's roles in films like The Sheik and Blood and Sand solidified his image as a romantic hero, captivating audiences and earning him legions of fans, particularly among women who idolized his charm, sophistication, and mysterious allure. Valentino's rise to fame was rapid, but it was also accompanied by a life of intense scrutiny and pressure. Despite his popularity, he struggled with Hollywood stereotypes, often being cast in roles that exoticized his image rather than showcasing his range as an actor. Behind the scenes, he battled financial struggles and a tumultuous love life, yet he remained committed to his art and to his adoring fans. In 1926, while still at the height of his career, Valentino was suddenly struck by severe abdominal pain. He was diagnosed with a ruptured ulcer and underwent surgery for what doctors hoped would be a recovery. Tragically, complications developed, leading to peritonitis, which is a serious infection of the abdominal lining. Valentino fought for several days, but on August 23, 1926, he passed away at just 31 years old. Valentino's death shocked Hollywood and sent waves of grief around the world. News of his passing led to mass hysteria, with fans gathering in the streets for his funeral, and some reportedly taking their own lives out of despair. Thousands of mourners flooded New York City for his funeral, and the outpouring of grief was unprecedented, demonstrating the depth of his impact as a cultural icon. Barbara Lamar. Barbara Lamar, famously dubbed "the girl who is too beautiful," was a stunning actress and screenwriter who captivated audiences in Hollywood's silent film era. Born in 1896, Lamar's beauty and allure were undeniable, often mesmerizing those who met her. She entered the film industry in the early 1920s, quickly rising to fame with roles in films like The Prisoner of Zenda and The Nut Touring. Her glamorous and exotic looks, combined with her daring on-screen presence, made her one of the most sought-after actresses of her time. However, behind the glamour, Lamar's life was filled with excess and challenges. Known for her hedonistic lifestyle, she was a regular fixture at Hollywood parties, living a fast-paced life that became the subject of fascination and gossip. Lamar reportedly claimed she only needed 2 hours of sleep a night, a habit that eventually took a toll on her health. Her lifestyle included heavy drinking and a growing addiction to drugs, which she used to keep up with her intense work schedule. Despite her success, her personal life was tumultuous, marked by multiple marriages and a series of romantic entanglements that kept her in the tabloids. By her late 20s, Lamar's health was deteriorating rapidly. She developed tuberculosis, and her condition was worsened by nephritis, a serious kidney disease. Despite her failing health, she continued to work, driven by a commitment to her career and a need to maintain her lifestyle. Sadly, her body could not withstand the relentless pace and the physical toll of her lifestyle. She succumbed to complications from tuberculosis and nephritis on January 30th, 1926, at just 29 years old. Mabel Norman. Mabel Norman was a trailblazer in early Hollywood, known for her comedic talent, beauty, and bold personality. Born in 1892, she became one of the first major female stars, and her comedic timing and natural charm made her a beloved figure on the silver screen. As one of Hollywood's first female comedians, Norman starred in a series of highly successful films alongside comedic legends like Charlie Chaplin and Roscoe Arbuckle, becoming a leading lady in the early days of silent cinema. Her collaborations with Chaplin in films such as Mabel's Strange Predicament are still celebrated as pioneering moments in film history, cementing her legacy as a comedic icon. However, Norman's personal life was anything but lighthearted. Her career was marked by several high-profile scandals that cast a dark shadow over her success. In 1922, she found herself entangled in the murder investigation of director William Desmond Taylor, a friend of hers who was mysteriously shot in his home. Although she was never implicated, the media frenzy surrounding her connection to Taylor tainted her public image, fueling rumors and suspicion. Adding to her troubles, Norman struggled with substance abuse, which only further complicated her life and career. In 1924, her name was again thrust into the headlines when her chauffeur shot and wounded millionaire Cortlandt S. Dines with her pistol. While she was not directly involved, the incident damaged her already fragile reputation, and studios began to distance themselves from her. As her health began to fail, Norman continued to work in films, but the strain of her lifestyle and public controversies took a heavy toll. By her mid-30s, she was battling tuberculosis, a disease that was difficult to treat at the time. Her once vibrant spirit faded, and she retreated from the public eye, her career a shadow of what it had once been. Mabel Norman passed away on February 23, 1930, at the age of 37. Roscoe Arbuckle. Roscoe Arbuckle was one of the most beloved comedians of early Hollywood, known for his slapstick humor and endearing personality. Born in 1887, Arbuckle became a major star in silent films, working alongside legends like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton. His comedic timing and physical humor delighted audiences, making him one of the highest-paid actors of his time. At the height of his career, Arbuckle was one of Hollywood's biggest stars, beloved for his jovial on-screen presence and his ability to make people laugh. However, in 1921, his life took a devastating turn. During a party at the San Francisco Hotel in San Francisco, a young actress named Virginia Rapp fell seriously ill and later died. Arbuckle was accused of causing her injuries, and he was charged with manslaughter. The media frenzy was immediate, and the press vilified him, turning public opinion sharply against him. Although he maintained his innocence, the scandal spiraled out of control, with headlines portraying him as a villain. Arbuckle faced 3 separate trials. The first 2 resulted in hung juries, but he was eventually acquitted in the 3rd trial, with the jury even issuing him an apology. Despite his acquittal, the damage to his reputation was irreversible. The public viewed him with suspicion, and studios refused to work with him, fearing backlash. Arbuckle was effectively blacklisted, and his career crumbled. He spent the next decade in relative obscurity, struggling financially and finding only occasional work in Hollywood, under a pseudonym, writing and directing films out of the public eye. In the early 1930s, it seemed Arbuckle might finally get a second chance. Warner Brothers offered him a series of short films, allowing him to return to acting. Audiences began to respond positively, and Arbuckle hoped for a full comeback. Tragically, on June 29, 1933, after a day of celebrating the new direction in his career, he suffered a fatal heart attack and passed away in his sleep at age 46. Florence Leadi. Florence Leadi was truly one of the brightest stars of early cinema. Born in 1888, she quickly rose to fame in the silent film era with her natural beauty, grace, and impressive acting talent, captivating audiences nationwide. Leadi starred in numerous films with Thanhouser Company, making a name for herself as one of the first prominent female movie stars. She was adored by fans and respected within the industry, with her career reaching new heights in 1917. However, her life took a tragic turn in August of that year. While driving with a friend in Westchester County, New York, Leadi was involved in a serious car accident. The car's brakes failed, and it careened down a hill before overturning. She sustained a broken pelvis along with other severe injuries, leaving her in a critical condition. At first, it seemed like she might recover, but complications arose leading to an infection. Tragically, sepsis set in, a deadly blood infection that the medical care at the time struggled to treat effectively. After a long, painful battle with her injuries, Florence Leadi passed away on October 13, 1917, at just 29 years old. Her untimely death sent shockwaves through Hollywood and devastated her fans. She was at the height of her career, with so much more potential and talent to share. Florence Leadi's tragic end remains a poignant reminder of how fragile life was for these early stars, whose fame was often paired with vulnerability to the dangers and challenges of the time. Olivia Thomas. Olive Thomas was a stunning silent film actress known for her vivacious personality and radiant beauty. Born in 1894, she rose to fame in the 1910s, first as a model, then as a Ziegfeld Follies star, and finally as a promising Hollywood actress. Her talent and charm quickly made her a favorite on the silver screen, and she appeared in several successful films. By 1920, Thomas was at the height of her career and had recently married Jack Pickford, brother of the famous actress Mary Pickford. Their relationship was passionate but tumultuous, and the couple decided to rekindle their romance with a second honeymoon trip to Paris. One night, after a lively evening out, tragedy struck. In their hotel room, Thomas accidentally ingested a mercury bichloride solution, a medication Jack had been prescribed for a chronic illness, likely syphilis. The solution was highly toxic, intended only for external use. Olive mistook the liquid for something safe to drink, possibly thinking it was water or a tonic, and took a fatal sip. Realizing her mistake, she cried out for help, and Jack rushed to her side, calling for medical assistance. Doctors were summoned, and Thomas was rushed to a hospital where she fought for her life. Despite all medical efforts, the mercury poisoning proved too severe. She passed away on September 10, 1920, at the young age of 25. Olive's death shocked the public and left Hollywood reeling. Known for her glamorous, carefree lifestyle, her tragic end was a stark contrast to her vibrant on-screen presence. John Gilbert. John Gilbert was one of the most iconic leading men of the silent film era, known for his dashing good looks and intense romantic performances. Born in 1897, he became a major star during Hollywood's golden age of silent cinema, winning audiences' hearts with his charisma and talent. Gilbert starred alongside some of the biggest names of his time, including Greta Garbo, with whom he shared an on-screen and off-screen romance that fascinated fans. His films like The Big Parade and Flesh and the Devil established him as a beloved actor whose star seemed unstoppable. However, with the advent of talkies, Gilbert's career took a sudden and heartbreaking turn. Stories circulated that studio head Louis B. Mayer had a personal grudge against him, which contributed to Gilbert's struggle to transition into sound films. Although his voice was perfectly suitable for talkies, poor casting choices and strained relationships with studio executives led to roles that did not reflect his former glory. His romantic, larger-than-life screen persona seemed to fade, and Hollywood's changing landscape left him behind. As his career floundered, Gilbert turned to alcohol to cope with his frustrations and disappointments. His once thriving career was now a shadow of its former self, and his health began to suffer. Years of heavy drinking weakened his body, leading to multiple heart attacks. Despite attempts at a comeback, Gilbert could not regain his former stardom. On January 9, 1936, he succumbed to a final heart attack, passing away at just 38. John Gilbert's life and death are often seen as a cautionary tale about the ruthless nature of Hollywood. His talent and charm made him a star, but the unforgiving shifts in the industry left him struggling to find his place. His death marked a tragic end to a career that had once shone so brightly, a reminder of the highs and lows that so many silent film stars faced as Hollywood transitioned into a new era. Ruan Ling Yu. Ruan Ling Yu, one of the most revered actresses of China's silent film era, was known for her emotive performances and striking beauty. Born in 1910, Ruan began her acting career in Shanghai, quickly becoming a star in China's booming film industry. With her natural talent and captivating screen presence, she was often compared to Greta Garbo, earning her the title the Greta Garbo of China. Her films, like The Goddess and New Women, tackled bold themes and showcased her ability to portray complex, often tragic characters, resonating deeply with audiences and establishing her as a national icon. However, Ruan's personal life was marked by struggle and hardship. She faced relentless public scrutiny and media gossip, often centered on her tumultuous relationships. Her personal life became fodder for the tabloids, and the press in Shanghai frequently targeted her with sensational stories that were both invasive and damaging. Additionally, her relationships added to her emotional burden. She endured a toxic, legally complex relationship with her ex-husband and was involved with a man who, despite his promise of stability, only added to her stress. The constant media pressure and emotional turmoil became overwhelming for Ruan. On March 8, 1935, at just 24 years old, she tragically took her own life, leaving behind a note that read, "Gossip is a fearful thing." Her death shocked the nation and left her fans devastated. Thousands attended her funeral, mourning the loss of a beloved actress whose life had been cut tragically short. Ruan Ling Yu's legacy endures in Chinese cinema. Her films are still celebrated today, and her story has inspired multiple adaptations, including movies and plays that honor her life and contributions to film. Pauline Frederick. Pauline Frederick was a captivating figure in early Hollywood, known for her powerful performances and striking presence on screen. Born in 1883, she started her career on the stage, becoming a well-regarded theater actress before making her transition to silent films in the 1910s. Her natural talent for drama, combined with her expressive face and commanding voice, made her an immediate success in the world of silent cinema. Frederick quickly rose to fame, taking on complex, emotionally charged roles in films like Madame X and The Woman in the Case, where she portrayed tragic heroines with elegance and depth. Frederick's career flourished through the silent era, and she was celebrated as one of Hollywood's premier dramatic actresses. Known for her serious roles and sophisticated demeanor, she stood out in an industry often focused on youthful ingenues, bringing a mature, refined quality to her characters. Her performances captivated audiences and critics alike, and she became known as a woman's actress, admired for her portrayals of strong, often suffering women. However, with the arrival of talkies, Frederick's career began to wane. While she did successfully transition to sound films, the roles offered to her became fewer, and her stardom gradually faded. Despite her talent, she found herself moving to supporting roles rather than the leading parts she once commanded. Additionally, her health began to decline in the 1930s as she suffered from chronic asthma and other respiratory issues that took a toll on her ability to work. By the time she reached her mid-50s, Frederick was struggling with her health and had largely retreated from the screen. She passed away on September 19, 1938, from complications related to asthma and respiratory illness. Louise Brooks. Louise Brooks was an enigmatic star of the silent film era, known for her iconic bob haircut, stunning beauty, and unconventional spirit. Born in 1906, Brooks initially trained as a dancer and made her way to Hollywood in the 1920s, where she quickly gained attention for her striking looks and distinct screen presence. Her most famous role came in Pandora's Box, 1929, in which she played the free-spirited, tragic Lulu, a character who embodied Brooks's own defiance of societal norms. This role, along with her performance in Diary of a Lost Girl, cemented her as a symbol of rebellion and sensuality in early cinema. However, Brooks's refusal to conform to Hollywood's expectations led to conflicts with studios. She resisted the strict control the industry exerted over its stars, and after several clashes with studio executives, her career came to an abrupt halt. Unwilling to accept roles she found limiting, Brooks left Hollywood and moved to Europe, hoping to find more creative freedom. But with the advent of talkies and Hollywood's disinterest in rehiring her, she soon found herself without work. By the 1940s, Brooks had returned to the U.S., settling in New York City, where she lived in near poverty. She worked various odd jobs to support herself, including as a salesgirl and a dance instructor. Later, she turned to writing and penned insightful essays about her experiences in Hollywood, eventually gaining respect as a film historian and critic. Despite her talent, she was largely forgotten by the public, remembered only by a few devoted fans and film historians who admired her pioneering spirit. In the 1950s, a resurgence of interest in silent films led to Brooks's rediscovery, and she began to receive recognition as a trailblazer and an icon of early cinema. Her writing was celebrated, and she became a cult figure among cinephiles who viewed her as a woman ahead of her time. Brooks spent her later years reflecting on her career and the choices she made, ultimately coming to peace with her legacy. She passed away in 1985 at the age of 78, by then having secured her place in film history. Marie Provost. Marie Provost was once a major star in Hollywood, celebrated for her beauty and charm. Born in 1898, she started her career in the silent film era and transitioned into talkies, becoming a popular comedic actress throughout the 1920s and 1930s. Her most notable films include The Cat and the Fiddle and The Marriage Playground, where she captivated audiences with her delightful presence. However, Provost's career took a tragic downturn as she struggled with alcoholism, a battle that slowly destroyed her health and career. The demands of the industry, coupled with personal issues, led to a sharp decline in her popularity. By the mid-1930s, Provost was virtually forgotten, living in poverty and facing the consequences of her addiction. In 1937, at just 40 years old, she tragically died from malnutrition and complications related to alcoholism. Her death went unnoticed for days, discovered only when concerned neighbors reported her absence. Clara Bo. Clara Bo, often hailed as the it girl of the silent film era, was one of the most popular and iconic actresses of the 1920s. Born in 1905, Bo became a sensation after starring in the film It, 1927, which solidified her as the embodiment of the flapper image and a symbol of youthful energy and beauty. Her fame skyrocketed, and she quickly became one of Hollywood's highest-paid stars, known for her vivacious personality and bold on-screen presence. However, the pressures of fame and the demands of her career took a toll on Bo's mental health. She struggled with anxiety, depression, and the intense scrutiny of the public and press. The arrival of talkies and her struggles with her personal life, including tumultuous relationships, led to a gradual decline in her career. By the 1930s, Bo had largely retreated from the limelight, living a more reclusive life. Although she was never completely impoverished, Bo faced financial difficulties and struggled to regain stability. In the years that followed, Bo's mental health continued to deteriorate. She suffered a nervous breakdown and spent time in mental health facilities. By the time she died in 1965, Bo was living in relative isolation, her career long behind her. She passed away at 60 from a heart attack, having lived the final years of her life far from the public eye. Norma Talmage. Norma Talmage was one of the most celebrated actresses of the silent film era, known for her beauty, grace, and commanding performances. Born in 1894, she rose to fame in the 1910s and became one of Hollywood's highest-paid stars by the 1920s. Talmage appeared in a series of successful films, including Smiles and The Eternal Flame, where her talent and striking looks made her a favorite among audiences. Her popularity peaked during the silent film era, and she was often compared to other greats like Mary Pickford and Gloria Swanson. However, as the film industry transitioned to talkies, Talmage's career began to falter. She retired from acting in the early 1930s, and in the years that followed, she faced financial difficulties. Although she had enjoyed a successful career, the onset of the Great Depression and changes in Hollywood left her struggling to maintain her wealth. In her later years, Talmage's health worsened. She suffered from arthritis, which caused her significant pain and limited her mobility. The chronic illness, combined with the loss of her career, led her to retreat from public life, becoming reclusive in her final years. She lived in relative isolation and was in a fragile state until her death on May 1, 1957, at the age of 62. Jean Harlow. Jean Harlow was one of Hollywood's brightest stars during the 1930s, known for her platinum blonde hair, sultry screen presence, and infectious energy. Born in 1911, she rose to fame with a string of successful films, including Red Dust and Dinner at 8, quickly becoming one of the highest-paid actresses of her time. Harlow's glamorous persona and unpretentious charm made her a favorite among audiences, earning her the nickname the Platinum Blonde and solidifying her as a key figure in the pre-code Hollywood era. Despite her success, Harlow's personal life was marked by hardship. She had a turbulent relationship with her mother, who was overbearing and controlling. Harlow's health had also been fragile throughout her life, with several reports of illness and exhaustion. In 1937, just as her career was reaching its peak, Harlow's life was tragically cut short. Harlow suddenly fell ill in June 1937, suffering from severe abdominal pain. Doctors later diagnosed her with kidney failure caused by nephritis. Her mother, who adhered to her own beliefs and was deeply distrustful of doctors, refused medical treatments that might have saved Harlow's life. After a month of suffering, Jean Harlow passed away on June 7, 1937, at the age of 26, leaving her life and career tragically unfulfilled.